Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome for the first time. Today, we are going to discuss a morally questionable artist in Artix Entertainment's fan community. Morally questionable for me is a way of sprinkling sugar on a spoiled fruit and still failing to stomach it. The artist goes by the alias Sirius. The reason I'm going to be addressing them using they-them pronouns is because they tweeted selfies of a young woman posing with their dog, claiming this is what they look like in real life. Some players, on the other hand, have reported that Sirius is actually a dude. It's normal for male players on social media that play MMORPGs to have female avatars, just for the record. The same thing applies to female players that log in with male avatars. In this case, there doesn't seem to be role-playing involved in that account because this person is engrossed in assuming that persona to the point where it's become intermingled with their personality. But I'm having trouble confirming either claim. The real identity is inconclusive, so for the time being, I'm sticking with they-them. Sirius is well known for illustrating AE fan art and has cultivated a following on Twitter for hosting giveaways where the winners are given points to spend on secondary currency and upgrades in games developed by Artix Entertainment such as Adventure Quest Worlds. Their popularity grew in the greater fanbase, but for despicable reasons. Time and time again, they faced accusations of plagiarism, racism, and harassment. It's super cut and dry to see why if you're an active member of that community, so it's nothing new. But if you are out of the loop like I was until January, no worries. I'm going to give a brief rundown to help you get a sense of who Sirius is before we get to the meat of their current actions. For starters, they had stolen audio from a voice actress to promote a giveaway. The actress responded in a state of shock, and Sirius lightheartedly admitted to guilt as if they spilled a glass of wine on a friend's shirt by accident. They apologized and gave the actress credit in subsequent replies, but it didn't change the fact their followers were misled into thinking it was Sirius's real voice. Another giveaway they hosted was a ruse to get their followers to pressure another user that cut off ties with them to unblock them. They were eventually back on speaking terms, but the intent behind the giveaway was condemned. No one is entitled to a reason why they're blocked. It doesn't matter if the reason is perceived to be childish. People have the right to distance themselves from toxic individuals if the relationship isn't good for their well-being, and to target someone that blocked you for whatever or no reason, and use their friends to hound them to find closure is a clear sign of emotional immaturity. If you've defended Sirius and have justified their motive by saying, she was blocked for no reason and wanted to know why, social media makes someone so mesmerized that they forget what actual social skills are. You can't block someone in real life, then oof, bad news for you. Yes, they can. The law has a magical shield anyone can acquire called a restraining order. Someone harassed online to that extent can legally file one because there's nothing harmless about a victim logging onto social media and be overwhelmed with tags and DMs asking them why they blocked their former friend. Then they learn that the instigator plans to keep up this harassment and get their followers to hound them for days on end, leaving them with no peace of mind until they get an answer. Similar campaigns have caused public figures like Emma Roberts, Lizzo, and Ed Sheeran to quit Twitter. Emma and Lizzo eventually came back after a recovery period, while Ed left indefinitely and now has a member of his team run his account. Some celebrities and artists stopped using social media altogether for the sake of their mental health. Pestering them about why they blocked someone they had a pre-existing with isn't going to improve it, especially not if said relationship left them traumatized. An obvious example of Sirius's racism and plagiarism is that she took a couple of fan illustrations of the live-action Ariel and colored her skin white. One in particular they stole was illustrated by a professional digital artist based in northern Nigeria named Umama. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. We know the art is stolen because if we look closely, the artist's watermark is still there. Sirius belongs in the majority of people who aren't happy with Disney's choice to cast Halle Bailey for the role of Ariel, but they took it a step further by whitewashing her and removing her dreadlocks in the altercations. It ruins the beauty and authenticity of the work and is disrespectful to not just Umana, it's also insulting to Halle and the production team working to make the live-action film possible. Unfortunately, Yumina lost her Twitter handle while Sirius kept theirs, so if you want to show her support and check out her fantastic character designs, I'll leave links to her Instagram and portfolio in the description below. They're fantastic. Sirius's Twitter account was suspended for a couple years, but over a couple weeks into this February, it has since been reinstated. You had one job, Elon Musk. Up until then, they were using a secondary, not safe for work account to promote their giveaways, resume posting their fan art, and harry freelance artists working with or have worked with AE. Unfortunately, defiling fan art of the live-action Ariel and spewing additional hate about minorities, specifically those in low-income communities, in the wake of George Floyd's death barely begins to scratch the surface. It was to my own disgust that I found multiple tweets that reveal that Sirius is a neo-Nazi. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples that stood out to me. One tweet was a reply to a Catholic user that condemned Russia's decision to invade Ukraine. Sirius's reply was, "The culture and lifestyle of those in Ukraine had been changing for decades and was leaking into main Russia. There wasn't any other easy option. Highly doubt Putin cares for a pass. Russia needs a decisive victory." This Catholic user then replies, "This does not justify a murderous war. Ukrainian lives matter just as much, or even more, than yours. Putin cares for nothing but himself. Russia is going to be defeated. Go cry." Awesome! I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you, Catholic state advocate. You spoke the words right out of my mouth. You rock! Sirius's second tweet that stuck out to me was where they slammed Warhammer for standing with Ukraine. They tweeted, "Well, we're screwed. First the Nazis, now the Russians, not just Russia. What's next? Any descendants of former slave owners? Hashtag not for everyone. Cries in 3D printer." That tweet is not just racist, but it signifies Sirius's victim complex. This might surprise Sirius, or most likely not, because they couldn't care less either way, but most Russian civilians are opposed to Vladimir Putin's invasion. To call it a special military operation is downplaying the fact his army blew up a children's hospital, left innocent lives without electricity, and ravaged centuries-old cultural heritage sites, and for what? So Nashow can't welcome another member and Putin can mark his territory whenever he pleases? Okay. The reason Russian voices aren't loud enough for us to hear is because civilians protesting the invasion are rounded up in the streets, and young men that participated in these protests are given conscription notices in police custody. Unwilling soldiers deployed to Ukraine have no choice but to fight for their president. Desertion is met with severe retribution, so one soldier can't just give themselves up. Regardless of if the Ukrainian army spares them, they would be hunted down, one way or the other. It's possible there are a few players in Artix Entertainment's community that are either from or have fled Ukraine, and to be honest, they might feel singled out if they find Sirius's tweets about the war by accident. Back in 2021, Sirius tweeted under Not Safe for Work account a photo of Hitler and 3 photos of who I presume are nationalists. I have no idea who these men are, but if you do know, please tell me in the comments because I'm interested to know how similar their beliefs are to Hitler's. Anyway, the tweet reads as follows. "Really have a thing for guys with a dark, edgier sense of humor. Cannot resist. XL." When I first found this tweet, I believed that Sirius was trolling. There's honestly no way to know for sure, actually, because rallying for Vladimir Putin to conquer Ukraine and blasting the developers behind Warhammer for its decision to nix sales of their products in Russia are both harmful in of themselves, so it doesn't fucking matter if Sirius is trolling. Just when I thought rooting for Russia in the war is diabolical enough, we got more problems. If you're infatuated with one of the most cruel, sadistic world leaders of all time, there's no doubt that you share the same beliefs that they do and you need therapy. Lots of therapy. This is not an allegation because Sirius flat out admits to being a Nazi several times and inserted the short staple symbol in their main account's bio prior to their suspension. You cannot call yourself an LGBT ally if you swoon over Adolf Hitler. He's not a broody, misunderstood bad boy that chicks dig in high school. No! He was a mass murderer and a tyrant that plotted to wipe out anyone that belonged in a group unworthy of living in the pure blood society he constructed. The Jewish populations were primary targets, but the Nazis also killed dissidents in the German population, the disabled, and the LGBT community. If you state that Nazis aren't all bad, just stop! Stop! They're all bad. An ideology built on the extermination of one or more groups of people shouldn't exist, and if there's anything worth canceling, it's that. Social media companies and the United States should really take notes from Germany because it's not a sign of weakness for a country to confront its dark past and learn from it. After World War II, it reformed its government so no fascist would hold public office again. It immediately outlawed the possession of Nazi memorabilia. Statues honoring Hitler were demolished and replaced with memorials honoring victims of the Holocaust, and worshipping the late dictator is punishable by law. Placing the Shortstaffel symbol on your social media page may be legal in the US at the time of this recording, but it's a surefire way to make enemies and get yourself doxxed. There's no doubt that people have a valid reason for continuously reporting everything you tweet, even if Twitter turns a blind eye. In 2020, a vocal player that previously hung out with Artix Entertainment's CEO at a convention tagged him in a tweet that notified him that he followed Sirius. As you can see, this player has placed red flag emojis next to the Shortstaffel symbol and a German word commonly associated with Hitler in Sirius's bio. The tweet stated, "Hey Artix, just want to let you know you're following a Nazi." Artix replied, "Thanks for the heads up. After inspecting the account, I unfollowed, rightfully so." Situations like this are always a concern of following back such a large number of player accounts, so if you ever see anything else like this in the future, please let me know. I appreciate it. Artix's decision was welcomed by both the player and a couple other community members, but it ignited a commotion between the player that notified Artix and another that leans on the right-wing side, judging from the arguments in their tweets. Let's have a look at that thread. Seriously, if they are a Nazi, then I am Captain Cook and I just found Vinland in the South Americas. Okay, so there's only 3 errors there. I'm sure you can tell which they are. That makes no sense. Does this tweet have a point? See the red flags. I see your red flag, ACAB. But I bear in mind the pinned tweet of Alina's, the CEO of Artix Entertainment, in case you were wondering. Artix Entertainment supports heroes of all races, genders, abilities, and beliefs. We're a bully-free gamer community. Help us stay that way. So, no bully. Them, you, or me. Let people believe or follow who they want.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
The player that notified Artix then replied, "If you think all cops are bastards and touting the Shortstaffel symbol are comparable, you're too young to be having this conversation. Or too stupid." The aggressor then replied, "You assume my age? I'm old enough to know the difference between right and wrong. No, you don't. To raise my kids with good morals and to fight and die for my country. Can you say the same? Heaven forbid he even has kids with what few brain cells he has." Let me see if I understand his reasoning. It's not bullying to promote the idea that the world belongs to the strong. A certain ethnic group or a group of people should have no part of it, and crush on a dictator that perpetuated that rhetoric. Yet when a random player brings it to the company's CEO's attention and said neo-Nazi got their comeuppance, then it's bullying. Nice job, Dunderhead. You missed the point of the exact tweet you quoted, and I died a little inside. If your idea of fostering a bully-free community is being chill about someone pouring out hate, terrorizing players that belong in the group they're targeting, and no one is allowed to report it, we can forget about if you see something, say something, because you're not fostering a bully-free community by letting this happen. You're fostering a cult. Furthermore, comparing the Third Reich to the use of all cops are bastards in the Black Lives Matter movement is like saying apples have the same milligrams of vitamin C as oranges. Both causes have opposite end goals, so we're never going to find common ground if we're fishing for minor details that link the two together. The use of the acronym in the British punk scene during the 80s does not apply to its use in this context. Again, none of Sirius's antics are news, so I feel like I'm repeating what a lot of us know already. But a couple of new accusations against them have surfaced in a thread that a guild's Twitter handle posted to promote a giveaway of their own. The guild is called Original Voids, and they have selected 2 winners that were rewarded with gift certificates, though its main priority is to raise awareness for the safety of other players in the AE community. I have no objection to starting a giveaway for a good cause, specifically one that should sound an alarm. If providing in-game benefits in return is what it takes to get that message across, as futile as it may sound, go for it. The initial tweet that announced the giveaway reads as follows. Hashtag AQW community. It has come to our eyes that a vile person that is known as a child predator, racist zoophile, has returned to your community known as Sirius. To bring awareness of this, I am throwing 2 10K gift certificates. Retweet this post is how you enter. Entry ends February 10th, 2023. Hex. Major trigger warnings for bestiality, child abuse, and animal abuse for what lies ahead. When pressed for evidence, Original Voids quote-tweeted a post containing screenshots of comic strips designed by Sirius and other art they posted that makes the new allegations against them damning. We're going to take a look at each individual screenshot, and I'll try to break them down without losing my appetite. So, probably butchered these characters, but hey, it's free art. Translation, you stole these characters. This prompted the original artist that created these characters to reply, before anyone starts assuming anything about me, I do not support nor condone this behavior, nor did I give consent.
No, silly, I take the buzz. I'm in high school.
What the hell? You said you were 23!
Yeah, and you said you love me.
Well, I guess you got me there.
The comic strip itself is outright disgusting. It glamorizes a sickening power imbalance in a teenage girl's relationship with an older man. It draws on her dependency on him for financial stability because there's no indication that she has other means of making money. The neighbor is easily made out to be more physically developed than the girl, so he could take advantage of that to prevent her from escaping his grasp. The way he points out specific details about her body that gives away her age when he should have known better than to pick her up grosses me out because it sounds like he is objectifying the poor girl. Granted, there are some kids as young as 10 that possess some awareness of the concept of sex, such as if they catch feelings for a classmate, or out of curiosity they start touching their own body parts, but that doesn't necessarily mean they know how to practice it safely, nor were they taught how to set and respect boundaries. At that age, their brains and bodies have not yet fully developed. A grown-up should not take advantage of that because either way, just like the girl in the comic, these kids cannot legally, mentally, and physically consent. Whether they say yes is besides the point because they don't know what they're agreeing to and how it would negatively affect them from here on out. Partners with enormous age gaps are also in different stages in their lives. It can muddy up the relationship if either one or both can't find some way to make it work. A 16-year-old may still be in high school, learning how to drive and looking into applying for college, while their 24-year-old partner may be fresh out of college, has a well-paying job, has their own roof over their head, and can drive. The younger partner in that scenario, who is a literal child, has less control in that relationship. The older partner is emotionally mature, they have more money in their pockets, they're fully independent, they have more rights as an adult, such as buying alcohol and being able to vote, they're physically bigger, and they're in a completely different world than what their younger partner is accustomed to. How are they going to consent to what their older partner wants them to do if they're oblivious to whatever the hell they're talking about or thinking about? In a relationship with a significant age gap like this, even if the law is alright with it, it becomes a life-changing experience for the younger partner in the worst possible way. If you're illustrating a comic strip about a teenage girl casually sleeping with an older neighbor, that's awful because in essence he abused her. The girl being playful about their night together doesn't make it any enjoyable because she was strapped for cash and the man exploited that by offering to sleep with her in exchange for giving her the pocket money she needed. His ignorance of her age is irrelevant because in more jurisdictions than I can count, it's not a valid defense for SAing a child. To make this matter much more repulsive, as you've seen, and this is evidence that supports the plagiarism accusation, the girl was created by another artist that didn't give Sirius permission to use her in the strip, and she was originally conceptualized as an adult. He replied to the tweet where Sirius posted the comic to make it clear that he did not authorize this. To this day, the appropriation of his character still gravely bothers him. Just had to go expose me like that. So the illustration that Sirius shared depicts a naked woman hugging an eggplant that belongs to a horse while surrounded by 3 more of them. Let's just leave it at that. There's no need for me to describe it in more graphic detail than that, so moving on to the 3rd screenshot. What do you mean with I don't have to pay you anything? Nonsense, you've been looking after him all day. At first, I was struggling to understand what was controversial about this strip. It looked like a red-headed girl had walked her neighbor's dog and turned down her offer to pay her because she was trying to be generous. She did a good deed for someone she presumably knew well, so she believed it was unnecessary to charge the neighbor. The story behind it seemed innocent enough. It's not innocent, though. Don't say I didn't warn you. Then, when I take a closer look, I begin to notice that the girl appeared worn out and is wearing skimpy clothing. My eyes were drawn to how confused the neighbor looked before they were traced to the dog's smirk. He was looking directly at the girl that walked him. I thought maybe he made mischief and the girl was exhausted from having to call him back over or chase him because he chased a car or a cat or got into the garbage or something. She was worried that the dog was going to get hurt and the neighbor wouldn't trust her to look after him a second time. I glanced at the white bar again and read the caption at the bottom of the strip a second time, and I realized that the girl and the dog had... oh my god, I'll just be a second. I came across another illustration Sirius drew that depicted Red Riding Hood hooking up with a wolf. Obviously, I'm not going to share it because that one sentence tells you everything you need to know about where this is going. You're probably going to have a tough time looking it up anyway because they later profited their uncut accounts because the intensive backlash against them in the AE community hasn't simmered down. From what I could make out in that illustration and the comic strip I found, they appeared to have a fixation on dogs. Some I encountered lately can sense depression in people long before others can. They look at their owners as alphas of their group, and therefore they make it their duty to protect them. Their loyalty should not come with being treated as tools used by their owners to achieve sexual gratification. It's what constitutes bestiality as an act of abuse. Dogs and other animals obviously communicate in a different language than people do, so how can they possibly consent to sex? A dog licking your face once or multiple times, following you around without a leash, and laying on its back while looking at you with cute puppy eyes doesn't count. Many dogs are trained to obey their owners without question, even if it means being forced to do something they don't want to do. They are excellent at hiding their pain and having to endure it for the sake of their owners, so to think they can consent to sex is outrageous. Bestiality in the real world can injure the animal. The act can cause internal bleeding and they could risk getting infected with STDs that humans can contract that might cross over species. In some cases, they could suffer broken bones and have difficulty walking. If the injury is not visible, successfully prosecuting the abuser for animal cruelty is extremely unlikely. Depending on the species, people that work in animal rescue organizations have reported that signs of distress are too subtle to pick up on. What zoophiles have in common with maps is that they are sexually attracted to defenseless creatures. Their desires are classified as paraphilias, which are clusters of anomalous impulses and fantasies that are in no way similar to homosexuality. Plenty of people in both groups like to compare the hate they get to homophobia to appear sympathetic and misunderstood. That is, until a child or an animal gets hurt because a member of their community is sexually frustrated. Another zoo that tweeted a proclamation that Sirius retweeted about the importance of visibility also has a stark victim mentality. What their top tweet on my right is showing me is that this person is brave enough to openly condone and encourage abuse. They aren't really looking for love, they're looking for control. I hate to pop the bubble in that tweet, but the harassment they get online is valid for that sickening reason. It's the same mentality that Sirius has whenever they tweet something like, I just want to move on, can we all just get along? I'm going to focus more on my art from now on, and I'm sick of drama in the AE community, while simultaneously stirring said drama. Zoophilia is researched less often in the medical field, though in 2017, Vermont passed a law that criminalized bestiality with the blessing of Brian Haloida, a well-known psychiatrist that dedicated his career to researching zoophilia and two nonprofit organizations fighting domestic violence and animal abuse. According to the letter Mr. Holloida wrote to Vermont's General Assembly, alongside evidence found in 4 cases listed by the National Link Coalition, people that sexually abuse animals are far more likely to commit child abuse and carry this behavior onto intimate relationships. To back up his reason to support Vermont's decision to outlaw the act, Mr. Holloida cited a study conducted in 2011 that found that bestiality can potentially lead animal abusers to perpetrate domestic violence. Bestiality is driven by feeling in control. An animal cannot give consent, nor can they communicate that they were exploited, and even if they could, such as if a veterinarian found a broken leg that was left untreated, tracing the abuse back to the perpetrator could take months. While I believe MAPS and zoophiles should have access to some kind of non-judgmental treatment to help them keep their desires under control, I also don't think they should be embraced and normalized. Otherwise, animals and kids will never be safe again. That's what sets MAPS and zoophiles apart from the LGBT community. It's not rocket science for conservatives to grasp that we are not comparable to these people. The straw that broke the camel's back in this situation was when Sirius had announced another giveaway in January. There they claimed that Artix Entertainment had provided them with codes for in-game items that were exclusive to players that purchased the 2023 calendar. This prompted Darketta to tweet a thread of her own about Sirius where she demanded answers from the company's management regarding if this was true. She proceeds to reiterate the allegations that Original Voids tweeted in their giveaway announcement before stressing once again that AE shouldn't be working with a neo-Nazi, particularly one that preys on the vulnerable. I know that Sirius's claim in their bio that they are a guest artist can easily be debunked by asking a member of the team, but without a public directory on Artix Entertainment's official website, and considering that Sirius has 3,690 followers on their main account at the time of this recording, it's no sweat to see why multiple players could easily be duped into assuming they are affiliated with the company. Darketta's anger when she tweeted that thread was justifiable because Sirius's nationalist/racist tweets deeply upset her, and the response to a thread where she opened up about her struggles with self-harm was to mock her for it, and that's absolutely barbaric. To make light of someone's mental illness is an act I will never, ever be okay with. That shouldn't be up for debate. Darketta's thread was noticed by AE's greater fanbase and a day later by the company's chief operating officer. She had issued the following statement in response. Greetings. This tweet was brought to my attention. After checking in with the community team, it does not appear that codes were gifted. Related, we've seen a lot of feedback over the last few months about which community content creators/leaders get free codes to give away. Nythera and I will be meeting with Artix in the near future to establish firmer guidelines for how these are given out, when, and why. So the reactions that Original Voids and Darketta's respective threads have gotten indicates that the situation has seemingly improved, because more people are now aware of who Sirius is and are doing whatever they can to avoid them. A major Twitter handle that promotes giveaways in the community has cut off ties with them, for example, which is relieving to see happen. At the same time, unfortunately, it has gotten worse because Alina's response was a bit too ambiguous for us to know if the team caught Sirius lying about where they got their codes from, and they seem to be thriving from the newfound attention they've gotten because that's what trolls living in the underworld seem to enjoy. And then one of Sirius's followers tweeted this. Their English is terrible, so please bear with me. The same people who talk about Sirius now are making tweets to AE. Oh, thanks AE, you are all so good. Love this abuser's items. Really? Hypocrites? The argument here isn't that Artix Entertainment is a flawless company. The team is heavily disorganized, it falls short of most of its promises, expects too much from its volunteers, paid staff can barely afford basic necessities, and has let an abuser off with a low-level position when he got caught. One former artist posted a series of tweets about a few days ago elaborating that it is the worst company he ever worked for because they kept prioritizing side projects and the staff were told to develop content specifically for players that have an active membership on Adventure Quest Worlds. It's a modern-day sweatshop run by Blythe Management, essentially. Gamers are free to spend their disposable income on whatever in-game privileges they want, but if there are players in the AE community that unconditionally support the company and ignoring what's going on behind the scenes while decrying Sirius, now that's hypocrisy. No one's denying that there are volunteers on the team that have only joined them for personal gain and that some use their positions to take advantage of vulnerable players. The argument here is that the fanbase doesn't want someone like that precisely if someone's claiming to be affiliated with AE in their own community. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this madness down below and give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Go.